Ladies and
What
gentlemen,
up, man?
welcome to the Say Report. I am
Oh,
your
we're doing
host,
this
Devon
thing. Wait a
Decker.
minute. I'm sitting here thinking about sea shanties. Wait a minute. Give me a second.
Yes, and you know what, Siegen? I want to chastise you. That's why
Oh,
I started recording before
okay.
you were ready. Don't fucking send me videos of video games. That right there is going to be the foundation which our friendship is built upon.
Okay. All
Because
right.
I do not send
I
you
don't want to know
videos
what
of
weird
me
rabbit
playing.
hole we're about. Hold on, wait. I don't know what weird rabbit hole you're about to go down talking about this, but some context for the viewer. Um,
The viewer. I love
I
that.
First of all, yeah. First of all, I sent him a video, not really about the video game itself, but just about sea shanties. And what it is a fantastic little video of these guys called the Longest Johns, which is a great name for a group of sea shanty singers. They decided to play the latest. Is it Ubisoft that put out?
No, it is not
Rare. It's
Ubisoft at
Rare,
all.
right?
I don't know. Sea of Thieves. I don't know who made it. I don't play it. Even
I'm
people
pretty
who have
sure
Xbox Ones don't play Xbox One.
No, I know. They're basically the Wii U's of this generation, I think.
Oh,
They the idea is though is that they were singing sea shanties as they were playing Sea of Thieves. Like that's the joke. That's it. It was a minute and a half long, and this has apparently set Devin off.
no, it didn't really set me off. It's
And
just
now we
that, like,
continue with our story.
I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like, I get that, and I'm like, nope. I see Sea of Thieves, sea shanties, and I'm like, this could be the greatest video ever. This could be the thing that cures cancer in video form. I'm never gonna watch it because I don't know what it is. You know what
Yeah,
I don't
tell me.
do? Do you know what I don't do? I do
What don't you
not
do?
share videos about video games with people ever. And I guess I was hoping that by not putting that out into the world, it would never come back to me. And it comes back to me more frequently than you would think. But I thought here, in the confines of the Say Report, I was safe.
I like that this is what you consider a safe space, is a space in which you don't receive any videos of video game footage, whether or not they have to do with the actual video game
Regardless of
itself.
what they have to do with. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
just like... Well, you know why? Because, like, I actually play and record video game videos, and I do not inundate people with said videos. Maybe you need to see a screenshot that I took. But very rarely I'm like, hey, check out this video I made. Now, granted,
like
you
I
need to
should be
make the video
apologizing.
of Sea of Thieves.
I feel like I should be apologizing to everybody that's now listening to this show because I force it upon them. I created this thing, listen to it.
No. I think that's how you build a podcast audience. But I will
Not a
also
YouTube
say
audience.
there's a reason. There is 100% a reason why most of the people listening right now are people that you know. Because here's the thing that I did wrong, right? Saturday morning, I have so many stories to tell. I love that we're starting on this foot. Not even the plan. This is the beauty of the Say Report, ladies and gentlemen. I came in with fucking note cards.
And I came in
They're
with-
destroyed because Siegen sent me a fucking YouTube video, 30 minutes to showtime.
This is what I do. I am an agent of chaos.
And I love it. I absolutely love it. You
I like
keep
to think
me
it's
young.
chaotic good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to me, who's just like, whatever chaotic, like, I'm not even chaotic neutral. I'm just
No,
like
he's
neutral. I
lawfully
don't give a
evil.
shit about anything. Yeah, I'm lawfully evil. That is actually a beautiful way to describe me. I'm going to key your car, but I'm going to make sure that I have the law on my side.
It has to be done, and I'm happy to do it.
The fuck? Oh, so Saturday morning, Friday, driving into work, I listened to Say Report Jr. Because I don't know. You got to see Dale. We tricked her into being a cameo on the show last time.
Tricked her nothing. You just ripped her over to the
No,
microphone.
can I tell you? I would like to just specify something like right now. She was like, I didn't think he'd want me to bring him food while he was recording. My hope was I could eat while she spoke to you. I had a plan. It was a good plan. But so because of that cameo and the little tease that she gave, I ended up listening to Say Report Jr. Through Friday. But the beautiful thing about 420 was it was the last Friday of. I'm proud of myself right now. You know why, and maybe the listeners will know why someday. But 420. that fuck you, Siegen, and you know why I said fuck you too.
Knock the fuck out.
all it took was a flaccarati punch. I'm so sorry. But like there was no traffic because in addition to being school vacation week for all the high schools in Rhode Island, it's also 420. Right? So what usually is a 30-minute commute so I can listen to an episode of Say Report Junior going and coming home from work because they run about 60 minutes long. I didn't finish it because my commutes were like 20 minutes each way. So Saturday morning, as I woke up bright and early to go pick up Jeff to get breakfast and then go see I Feel Pretty, I was listening to Say Report Junior, and it ended right as I got to exit 6 off of 195. And I'm like, I'm almost at Jeff's house. I'll just let the next podcast play. And it happened to be our podcast. And let me tell you, Sejan, I have never listened to our podcast before. And a monster has been fucking created.
Bum, bum, bum.
Because, I'm like, whoa, I'm pretty fucking good at this. So
nice.
continue to keep me on my fucking toes and everything, because I love you, buddy.
Yeah.
Always.
I'm surprised that your 420 commute wasn't easy like Sunday morning, man. Like, I'm surprised you didn't end up in the car for like 45 minutes an hour behind everybody trying to figure out where they were going. Because
no, people just don't leave their houses.
Or everybody was
staying in Massachusetts.
Everybody out here. Oh my God. It was also one of the nicest days in a while that we've had out in the Midwest. I know you guys back on the East Coast are also like basking in the glory of like.
I wore short sleeves to work today.
Isn't that awesome?
It was 70 degrees after work.
So
to celebrate.
Being one of the first nice days, like I'm driving around with like the windows open in my car, and 420 in Toledo with your windows open, you're gonna get hotboxed, my friend. Like they are just out and about.
An open window and goes in.
That's the difference between you beach people and us Midwestern people is we got shit to do, but we'll still be there.
The difference is we are in the car for 15 minutes, so we're like we'll get where we're going and then we'll get baked. You guys are in the car for like hour minimum, so you're like,
yeah.
I have to do this right now or I'm not getting high.
Too true. So you went to go see I Feel Pretty this weekend, huh?
I went to go see I Feel Pretty this weekend, and let me tell you something. I really would like this trend of going to see movies that I have less than zero interest in Saturday mornings at 10 a.m., and then those movies being fucking excellent to continue. I don't know what like deal with like the cinematic devil I'd have to make for that to keep happening. But
before we get too deep into I Feel Pretty, what was the other one?
Chappaquiddick.
Oh right, yep. Okay,
yeah.
Last week. Or what's that? Nope, not last week.
It was 2 Saturdays ago. Yes. Yeah, because 100%. Like Chappaquiddick was one of those movies that like. Oh, this looks problematic based on the trailer, and then I haven't shut up about Chappaquiddick, and I would have not shut up about I Feel Pretty, except that I'm like, you should go see I Feel Pretty to people, and they're like, you're fucking punking me, and I'm like, all right, fine, then we're done talking. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm excited to see it. We've talked before, I think, about Amy Schumer and the idea that like I do like enjoy where she's coming from, and so. I would say more than half the time, I'm very much happy to be watching something with Amy Schumer in it. It's just that when it swings in the other direction for me, it swings hard. So, like, I never really finished up anything with the Amy Schumer project. Was that the name of her show?
Inside Amy Schumer.
Inside Amy Schumer. Why did I don't know, somebody...
No, you tried to class it up. That's what you tried to do.
Yeah, and, like, I really enjoyed Trainwreck, but what was the one that she did with Goldie Hawn there?
Snatched is fucking awful. There's
I had no interest in
right
that.
In the middle of Snatched. Did I talk about this on the podcast?
Yeah, I think we have.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm sick thinking about it right now. But
yes. So I'm happy to hear that this is something that you enjoyed.
Well, and especially because it was another one where like the trailers made it look super problematic, but in the first like 15 minutes of movie, they build such a beautiful character, and first of all, I was able to divorce Amy Schumer from the character that she was playing in the movie. Like very early on, which that's impressive, right? Like in Trainwreck and in Snatched, she really didn't divorce herself from from herself.
Well, especially, I mean, Trainwreck was something really
semi-autobiographical,
right? Right. So like that makes sense. And then Snatched, I mean, that's the kind of movie where you go in wanting Amy Schumer, so it better be Amy Schumer.
Right.
Right.
But I Feel Pretty. It like really showed off her skills as an actress, but also kudos to the screenwriters who they also did How to Be Single, which was another like hidden gem.
Nice.
I loved How to Be Single.
How to Be Single is a great one, man. Yeah,
People,
yeah.
the people are like, really? And I'm like, yeah. Did you see it? Because it was awesome.
Oh man.
Dakota Johnson, and not naked, getting hit in a red room. I like the 50 Shades movies. I am not ashamed.
Why does he wear jeans when they do? Never mind. Keep going.
Because it makes him feel like a cowboy.
Okay.
I don't know if that's true, but like it would make me feel like a cowboy. Get along, little doggy.
Okay.
One.
I would like to go back to the
I feel pretty
conversation.
Yeah, so they just build her character really well. It's one of those things where like if they didn't take the time to show you why she has no confidence beforehand, it would fail. Like it would fall right on its face. And then the magic happens and it handles that just as well. Where it's like and it does that stuff that like is really good where like when she says goodbye to the guy that she was working with, he's behind a door so he doesn't see her, because the big thing and the big conceit of I Feel Pretty, semi-spoilers, is that she believes that she has completely changed. The bump on her head makes her believe that she is now beautiful. She sees herself as beautiful. So she just assumes that everybody else sees her as beautiful too, which leads to a lot of good scenes of like, guys, calm down. It's me, your friend Renee. I can prove it.
Yeah. So she does a lot of like crazy thing. Yeah, it's a goofy, slapsticky comedy, but also a romantic comedy.
It's very farcical. Right? The romantic comedy aspects are handled really, really well, and it worked. Like it covered every aspect of it. And
how do you feel about Rory Scovel?
I love Rory Scovel. Rory and I've met Rory a bunch of times. He beat me on Doug Loves Movies at the Leonard Maltin game once. Granted, I kind of beat myself by saying I could go -2 on a Nicolas Cage category.
Yeah. I was curious how you feel about going to see him in this, because like
Rory
it's honestly.
Rory and I have like I mean we have semi conversations on Twitter and stuff. Like he still knows who Devon Decker is. Yeah, I have a signed copy of The Great Gatsby that he wrote. I wrote this, Rory Scovel, that just went up in value because he was in the #3 movie in the country. Flap, flap, flap.
That's fucking awesome. Yeah, man, I was excited when I saw him in it. I love it when he gets work, right? Like it's one of those things. And I was also super excited to find out that, unbeknownst to me, there was a second and now almost a third season of Those Who Can't, which was the big show that I discovered him on.
There's also, I mean, I can't, Ground Floor, the TBS show that he was in.
Oh man, Jesus, I forgot all about that show.
He did such a good job, and he nailed, like, he was such a good part of I Feel Pretty, but like not to the point like thank God he's here, or I wouldn't be enjoying it. Let me tell you the true story of I Feel Pretty and Devon Decker, and that is right at the end. There's this whole scene, and I was in such tears that Jeff went to make a joke, like, because we do that. We were really the only people in there because we also saw it in open caption. Which that scares people away from going to see a movie.
I don't know why. I actually don't ever really mind it. I guess I also never cared about subtitles. Maybe it's that kind of same attitude.
Dude, I absolutely loved it too. Like, I feel like I retained the film better because you're not reading. Like, that was the big question that everybody had for me after I told them I saw a film in open caption was, did you find yourself reading the whole time? And I'm like, no. You read it when it comes up and then you watch the scene. Like I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Like,
it's the same idea as when you're watching a subtitled movie. No, like everybody done that at least once in their life, and you didn't spend the entire time reading through and then like missing the movie. Oh my god. Okay,
it's
sorry.
Like, it's like such a ridiculous question. I'm like, no, I actually think I enjoyed the film more because there was never any question of did I miss something there because I was laughing. Like I saw Super Troopers 2 as well. I almost said Super Troopers 2 too, and I didn't want to say that, and then I said it anyway. And there were scenes where like raucous laughter, and I know I missed stuff. Like I'm excited to see that at like 10 a.m. on a Saturday when it's like one other person, because I want to make sure I heard all the jokes. Because that movie was excellent. I'm a big fan of Broken Lizard, though. We've talked about Puddle Cruiser and all that. So,
oh god, Club Dread, man. the other thing I wanted to shit.
Oh,
I saw Thor Ragnarok again this weekend, and it made me think of that exact conversation. Sorry,
no, it's all right.
we talked about that once before about the idea that like seeing Thor and not getting half the movie because everybody was laughing at every other line, and I watched it for like the fourth or fifth time this weekend, and man, that movie is just so
Yeah,
good.
that movie is
Um,
excellent. I'm very
it's
excited.
I don't know, man, it's still just as funny too. That's the other thing.
Well, of
But
course,
anyway,
you know
sorry.
how many times I've seen What We Do in the Shadows and like lost it just as
Yeah.
hard as I did that first time. I saw that movie twice in theaters, 4 months apart because of just the release schedule that it had.
Yeah.
And it was just as funny that second time when I actually brought people because I'm like, well, you need to see this movie, and it's only 20 minutes away as opposed to an hour and a half. We're doing it. But to go back to I Feel Pretty, like I was crying so hard that Jeff like stopped mid joke and like consoled me. And he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. It's just like that was really well handled what they just did." And then the movie ends and the credits are rolling and I go to like talk about the movie and I redoubled in tears. Like right now, based on all of the movies that I have seen in 2018, and there have been a lot. It's 2018, right? I don't know why I'm
Yes.
hesitating
You
on
got
that.
that? Nope, you got that right. Keep going, keep going. This
All
is
of
an
the movies
important
that I've
emotional
seen in
moment for the same report.
2018, I Feel Pretty is on my top 10 list. And like it's going to be hard to shake it from my top 10 list. And that is only because of the film The Homesman, which like crazy, right? Like that's night and fucking day between I Feel Pretty and The Homesman. Do you know what The Homesman is?
Not in the fucking least. What
Okay.
is that?
The Homesman is a film that stars Hilary Swank and Tommy Lee Jones. It's in the frontier time, so it's like the late 1800s, and three women in the town where Hilary Swank's character live go crazy. Like they fucking lose their minds. And they want to take them to like a mental hospital that's across the frontier in like an actual city. And Hilary Swank, she's never been married. She's always been alone. She is the one who like agrees to undertake this journey, because like she'll actually be compassionate to these women as
Okay.
opposed to the men who will continue to treat them like the garbage that caused them to lose their minds. And she goes off on this, and Tommy Lee Jones is like a drifter who's passing through town, and she hires him to be her protection for that trip. And then they go on this like Oregon Trail-esque adventure across the frontier, and they have these interactions with these women, and they have these interactions with each other. And like Hilary Swank explains that she's so fucking lonely, and that like she's never felt the touch of a man. So then her and Tommy Lee Jones end up making love. Spoilers for The Homesman right here. And after they make love, she kills herself.
Jesus.
And it's just like one of these. It's like a gut punch thing. Like and it's because it almost feels like she's never going to be this happy again. So that's when she wants to die. Like she doesn't want to ever be sad again.
Jesus.
And then so Tommy Lee Jones decides that it's now his responsibility to finish the journey. They're not that far. They're like a day away before that happens. Like that movie, it's like a western. It feels like a western, like one of those old
I was
style
gonna say it sounds a little
westerns.
true gritty as well.
Yeah. And they do a really good job building the relationship between them, so like that makes sense. And the movie ends, right? And we're sitting in this theater. We had gone to, remember where we saw the interview,
Yeah.
the Hollywood Hits Theater outside
Yeah,
of
man.
Salem, Massachusetts.
Way out in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
right?
So what I was trying to do was make sure that I had seen, like, I was trying to get to 104 movies before December that year. I don't remember what year it was. Or maybe I was trying to get to 52. Like, I just wanted to not have to go see movies in December, so I wanted to make sure whatever quota I had arbitrarily set for myself in the beginning of the year was done by November 30th. So, like, The Homesman was the only movie I hadn't seen. So Dale and I, at 6 o'clock on a Sunday, set out to that theater to watch The Homesman. And, you know, it's one of those old school theaters that's like auditorium style. It's not stadium style or anything like that. So we're the lowest one, and there's like a group behind us. And after the movie ends, and I'm fucking touched by everything that I've seen up on screen. One of the women goes, "That movie was awful." And I'm just like, and it hurt me in a way that I didn't expect. Someone saying that about the homesman would hit me.
Yeah.
And then she continued to go on saying that like her sleeping with him was so untrue to her character up to that point. And I'm just like, did you watch the same movie as me, ma'am? Like, what are you talking about? And like, rather than like stand up and be like, how dare you? I like just sat there in my seat and I started to cry like real tears. Because, yes, it's a fictional character, but this woman just did not understand any of the struggles and sacrifices that she made or why she felt like she had to do what she did.
Oh, that is like the most uncomfortable thing in the world. Like when people cannot keep that opinion to themselves for just like 10 minutes. Wait till you get to the car. Just wait till you get to the car and then you talk about it.
You don't
Yeah,
need to
at
sit,
least
like,
step out of the
Dale and I,
oh my
ever
God.
since that day, have a rule that we will not discuss anything that we just saw until we are back at the car.
My friends and I have the same rule because of an unfortunate viewer at Superman Man of Steel. There was a gentleman that was, I will admit, in our group that did not enjoy that movie and made it very clear to everyone at 3 o'clock in the morning, the midnight premiere of that movie. So it was a packed house, and every single person there knew how Thomas felt by the time we were done with Man of Steel.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that just like, because at that point, you're like willfully trying to hurt other people's experience of that film.
Exactly.
Right? Like it feels like an attack. And right. I sit there and I'm crying, and then she leaves, and Dale's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, like that really hurts me. That like, yes, it's a fictional character, but like that woman could watch that film and just be like, I didn't get any of the message of this movie." And not only am I ignorant and not understanding it, I'm going to loudly announce how terrible that made the film.
Yeah, I mean, like, not everybody's gonna have the same experiences with every piece of art out there, right?
I understand that.
But like, but the way that you handle that, if you see something that doesn't affect you, look, we'll shit on a movie all we want, right? Like you and I have sat here and definitely talked crap about films all the time. We also always seem to make it a point to try and find something redeemable in it, even if it's not this, it might be that, right?
Right.
Like, but at the very least, we keep it to ourselves until we are here doing this thing, and you people come here and listen to this, knowing what you're getting into.
No one listening to the Say Report right now is being held under lock and key, forced to listen. If you don't want to hear us shit on a movie, you turn it off. I can't turn it off when I am trying to like watch the credits of the film that I just watched and like fully like think about everything that I just saw. And then like for a while afterwards when I talked about The Homesman, I would be like, it's really good. Like I couldn't believe just how deep the story was, and like I would definitely recommend it and talking about it. And then like in the back of my mind there was that woman, and like exactly. I would have to like bury the tears because I didn't want to break out in tears again because of that statement. And just like I think about her character and what she did and why she did it, and just for someone to be like, that was so out of character for her, it ruined this film for me. And I'm like, okay, it's established like real early that she's lonely.
Yeah,
it's like she's super friggin' lonely. That's basically why she goes on the journey. It's because of how lonely she is. Oh, forced interaction with 3 crazy ladies? Better than this.
Oh man. Oh god. All right. Well, so I feel pretty.
So I feel pretty. I had that same sort of like situation trying to talk about it. Another film that does that for me is Despicable Me 2. Which like fuck me. Though. The beginning of Despicable Me 2, when Agnes says, I might cry right now. I'm like really trying not to. When Gru dresses up like the fairy princess.
Right.
And she leans into him and says, I know it's you, Gru, but I'm pretending for them. It's just
it's the best. It's a great
moment in that. And it's just like, how could anyone not like the Despicable Me movies?
But I mean, like that's the testament to that franchise, right? Like, and there's a reason why there's 3 of them, and there's a reason why there's spin-offs. Like that's good shit, man. That's good heart-wrenching shit.
Very good heart-wrenching shit. That like I was talking about it. We were driving over the Braga Bridge in Fall River, and Jeff brought it up, and I just like broke down in tears.
Yeah, man.
And like I gotta think that he's like, what is wrong? And it's just like, no, that scene like hit me like such like the strength of his relationship with the Gales is so strong.
When I was a younger man, I held a belief that there are only three times that a man should cry when he's watching a movie. It's at the end of the Green Mile, it's at the end of the Iron Giant, and oddly enough, it was also at the end of Dogma.
Okay, I've only seen 2 of those 3 movies. I cried at those 2 of 3 movies.
You didn't see Green Mile?
No, I didn't see Green Mile. Nice job, Sejan,
That's
sussing that one out. You should be a detective on a TV show.
Okay,
The cinema
I'm that good.
detective.
I'd be a very Columbo-esque detective,
Oh, yeah,
let's
you
be
would.
honest.
You totally
Only the
would.
bumbling wouldn't be an act. I would just be a bumbling detective.
But you keep falling ass backwards into a solved case.
I knew it. Knew it the whole time. But yeah, no, we've talked about the Iron Giant before, and I know you've seen Dogma. Like,
I watch Dogma every Christmas.
Right. So I mean, like, it was not that hard to figure out. You should see Green Mile though. It was the first time I ever really saw Sam Rockwell and thought, man, I really like that actor. And then just this year he won an Oscar, his first Oscar, I think. So like, totally worth going back for that. Also Tom Hanks, which is like amazing, and everybody else in that movie that's really awesome.
We're not going to like call out Michael Clark Duncan. We're not going to.
It's
give
real
him
sad.
The
It
name
makes
check.
me real sad. I was trying really hard to not mention that because I didn't want to make you cry again.
Oh, man. Come on, he dies in that movie.
Yes, but it's a phenomenal role for him and all of that, you know.
It's a star-making
Stephen
role
King.
for him, like, as far as I'm concerned. Then people were like, Ving Rhames who?
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, because there's only room for one giant black actor in this world. Oh God. Man. So what else did you do this weekend? Was that
So that was that was kind of the big thing with seeing movies and stuff. We've been cleaning house, which has been an interesting experience again. We got
spring
another
cleaning time, man.
dumpster, and we're trying to fill that up. I found recommendation letters for this job I was trying to get in 2010. And you know, one of them's from David Howard, which of course that was not surprising to read what David Howard thinks of me. But the other one was from Brian O'Wortman.
Oh dear Lord! Oh my God! All right. So for anybody that doesn't know Brian O'Wortman, imagine a vampire that survives not on blood but on your time left on this earth. That's what she survives on.
We're really like slanderous when we use her full name. Brian O'Wortman and I for some reason get along extremely well, and I think it's because I understand the value of time.
I think I
like,
remember.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
You
that's who you are. You're
I'm her dampier.
you're the one going out there eating flies, man. Like,
Oh, don't do that. Come on. Yeah, no, Grant though. Grant Dynasty is a really good connector line there, you bastard. But no, and like she wrote, like reading that one, I'm just like, oh wow, this is good, because like, you know, I don't want to broadcast it like too long here, but like my college career did not end great in the URI theater department.
Okay.
I came in like a bang, and I went out like a grand finale of fireworks.
Like a bigger bang.
But
in
like
the wrong
you weren't
direction.
ready for it. Like oh, it's firework time. Oh, they just set them all off. That seems like, I hope everyone's okay.
Yeah, like one of those really bad 4th of July moments when like everything goes off and it's below the tree line and it was way too much too fast and you're just like, this show's not going to happen, is it?
Part of that was beautiful. Part of that was like incredible.
But it's also fireworks, so like there's like an MC to tell you if we made a mistake, go home. So you're just sitting there in a field wondering if anything else is going to happen.
Yep, basically Devon in college theater. Can't think of a better explanation of it. But like to see what she wrote, it was very kind. So those were like 2 cool moments. And here's something. Do you know the Plaza Azteca in Seekonk?
I do.
So
yes.
I have a gift certificate to that. I will continue to have a gift certificate to that because I tried to go on Sunday and there was a big old chain on the door.
Oh, well, guess that's not going to happen.
Permanently closed. So
yeah,
that
but you got to sort through your
interesting.
shit more often. I'm going to say this. I know I'm
Dude,
going out
I
on a
drive
limb
by
here,
that
but...
all the time, and there are cars. Like, it's weird that, like, because it was closed that one time.
I'm just saying,
Permanently.
recommendation letters from 8 years ago and a gift card from perhaps longer.
No, that Plaza Azteca gift card we bought in like February of this year. And let me tell you, I'm pretty sure that the employees of Plaza Azteca had no idea that they were getting closed because they had up all sorts of signage for their big Cinco de Mayo party.
Oh God.
And it's like, oh, something happened. That's all you could think when you look at a closed Mexican
You sure they
restaurant.
weren't just closed?
Nope, because then I went online and it is marked permanently closed on Google.
Ouch. Yeah, man. But here's the secret about Mexican restaurants. They just always have Cinco de Mayo stuff up.
Yeah, that's the thing. Plus, Plaza Azteca is actually a chain. It doesn't look like a chain when you see it, but there are other Plaza Aztecas. I remember when I went to one in Connecticut, and I'm like, wow, this is a chain, huh? What could have fooled me?
Well, that twist just sucked all of the stakes out of that story.
Yeah, but here's the like real kicker of it: the gift certificate that we have only usable at the Seekonk location.
And there it is. Brought it back. Landed it.
That's what it is. That's what it is. I feel like I had one other thing. I wanted to share that bit. And like Zelda racing was crazy because my competitor was supposed to fight at 8 o'clock on Saturday night, and he's like, I have to forfeit.
Oh God.
And I'm like, oh, are you sure you don't want to try and reschedule? We have a whole day tomorrow. And he got back to me at 2 a.m. saying, yeah, let's go for 9 p.m.
God.
So I'm like, yeah, okay. So we went at 9 p.m. I ended up getting my first win in the tournament, which felt really, really good. But that was a weird, like, couple of, like, because the forfeit on Saturday was 16 minutes to game time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, oh, okay.
It's interesting that you went into some competition stuff this weekend. Although I guess not that interesting since you do it every weekend. But I weirdly decided to dive into some stuff myself because of all of the Billy Mitchell stuff happening last week, man.
Yeah, how crazy is that? That he is like no longer the King of Kong.
Yeah, so like, oh, man, I don't know if it's maybe because of the way that you've just been talking so much about all of the competition stuff you've been doing, but I've been like really itching to get back to that movie, right? And then all that stuff came down last week about how he got caught cheating. But what was really interesting to me is I was remembering the movie, and it was in the movie, there was always this air of like he might have been cheating, but it was all about the videotape.
There's always a specter
right?
of doubt in the film. There's
Right.
always a specter of doubt.
And the thing is it's all focused on the idea that in the videotape, the editing is weird, right? And why would that be? But what's funny is that's actually not the thing he gets caught for. What he ended up actually getting caught for and being kicked out of the Guinness Book of World Records and all that shit last week is he got in trouble for using a modified game board. Do you remember much about the story of King of Kong?
Yeah, so there's that whole thing where I came home and there were these two guys in my garage looking at my Donkey Kong.
Steve Wiebe. Yeah, okay, so King of Kong, let's dial this back 2 steps first, because I'm sure that some people have maybe heard about some of the Billy Mitchell stuff and didn't even pick up on it and realize what it was. But Billy Mitchell is the dude that they interview and pretty much, I mean, they make him a villain, but it's kind of hard not to in the documentary film King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters. And it's this phenomenal documentary, honestly one of my like top 10 documentaries of all time, all about the dude that holds the Donkey Kong world record, Billy Mitchell, and this dude that decides to challenge him, Steve Wiebe. And they stumbled into like there's no way that they could have known they were going to get this story, but they stumble into one of the greatest like hero myths ever with watching this dude Steve Wiebe, who's this down on his luck, and that doesn't even begin to describe him, but this down on his luck like teacher from the Midwest that decides that he wants to do something like meaningful in his life, and the thing he picks up on is he wants to get the Donkey Kong world record. He's like, I already know I'm kind of good at it, and I can maybe do a little bit better and just work on it, and I can get this world record, right? It's something to do. That's it. And it starts off like this thing for him, but it turns into such an important milestone for him, and he does it. But then Billy Mitchell just come back and challenges him like crazy. And the reason is, as Devon pointed out, is the story about how Steve Wiebe breaks the Donkey Kong world record, and then Billy Mitchell sends people to his house to take apart his Donkey Kong machine that he broke the world record on so that they can find anything wrong. And what they find is they find a game board that's not an original motherboard for the Donkey Kong machine.
No, it's not that. It's not that it's not an original motherboard
It's
for Donkey Kong. It's that there's a sticky residue on the board. That's
right.
it. Like, that's the only thing that they find, like, out of sorts.
That's not
with
the only
it.
thing. Remember, the other thing that they find is they find mailboxes coming from another Donkey Kong competitor who is like infamous in the community
Oh,
for
that
just
that
being
that
an
Mr.
asshole.
Awesome guy.
Mr.
Not,
yeah,
not
Mr.
Awesome,
Awesome.
or I don't know his name. He's
Pretty much
crazy
that.
bastard.
Mr. Amazing. Or
Mr.
something.
Incredible, I think.
Mr. Incredible? Yeah, whatever. This asshole that like put out like dating videos in the 80s that was all about like you got to show a woman who's boss, like this kind of asshole, right?
You smack her in the face.
Right, he's the worst. He's like the worst. And it turns out that that guy had been supporting Steve Wiebe and like sending him stuff. One of the things he possibly sent him was a motherboard for the game, right? So they take this thing, they inspect every inch of it, they find like some sticky residue they can't blame, but they can't even put their like they can't tell what it is, and they can't quite identify where it is on the board once they find it the first time. Like it's such bullshit, right? So they blame him for using a modified board and say that his score doesn't count, and Billy Mitchell is back on top. So here we are in 2018, and the thing that Billy Mitchell got caught doing was using modified game boards in order to get his scores.
Well,
So I was just like, I have to watch this again, man. And I sat down and watched that movie, and it is amazing watching the fucking hoops that he makes that he makes everybody jump through. Like they all want to just please him, and the entire time, you now know he was just full of shit the entire time. It's crazy. Sorry, you were saying something.
Well, the thing is that it wasn't just a modified board that he used. He actually used MAME. He used multiple arcade machine emulation.
Okay, all right.
So that leads to the ability to like set up. Everybody has used an emulator, right? You're out there right now, and you're like, I never have. It's illegal. You've used an emulator, even if you have an NES Classic. That's just an emulator, guys. But it's one that like Nintendo approves of.
Yeah, right. Like there are legal emulators that are used all the time, and not even just in gaming. Like I mean,
like
we're
even on your
about
computer, there are certain things that are emulated so that you can use programs.
Especially if you own a Mac and you need things that you normally run on Windows or vice versa. Like there are programs out there that do that for you, and you're doing it, and you're happy.
And you probably don't even know. Like it's just happening in the background, and that's everybody emulates. But one thing that like changed it worked for me. 9th grade, when I first get into the emulation of video games, fucking save states. Save states changed fucking gaming for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was basically getting to save scum in these games that were hard as fucking balls, so that kids wouldn't feel bad paying $60 for them.
I mean, and honestly, like for me, when we're talking about emulation and the way that save states are then placed in the game, I couldn't have finished a lot of the Nintendo games or Super Nintendo games that I've played, Sega games that I've played, if it wasn't for my ability to do that. Honestly, my Mega Man skills are shit, right? But I've played through a couple of Mega Man games simply because I was able to do save state gaming. Sorry.
No, because what I'm going to say to that is I have since, and I am very proud of this, gone back and beaten on original hardware every game that I've used emulation to complete. That
nice.
is something that like I have this idea for a story about a guy who lies like all the time. Patent pending, Devon Decker. And he decides one day that he's going to make good on every single lie that he's ever told. Like you would be the lead, you'd be the buddy in this.
Liar 2,
story.
the bucket list.
Like it's sort of like that, yeah. Like it's like, oh yeah, I've seen this. Oh dude, I met Willem Dafoe once. Like, so then he has to go out. It's basically My Name is Earl, but instead of bad things, it's just like making lies truths.
I can see the montage moment in Act 1 in which you have to sit down and remember every lie you've told, and it's just like us sitting around and just like saying crazier and crazier shit to each other that we're writing down on a piece of notebook paper.
Yeah, exactly that. Like, it's just this great thing. But, like, the one time in my life where I have, like, because it feels like a lie, right? It felt like a lie in 9th grade when not even 9th grade, I think 8th grade. 8th grade, the neighbors down the street were moving, and they're like, you can have this. And they gave me a box with an original Nintendo full of games. Because I had forsaken my old NES, right? I'm not proud of this. But I had forsaken it. I had traded them into Funko Land. in order to get new games, right? And it's something that I like was never happy about. And then here's this box full of games, and I'm like, oh cool. And then I'm like, I beat this game, and then I'm like, no, I didn't beat this game. I used Game Genie, so I didn't really beat and finish this game. I need to go back and do it without cheating. And then like emulation came along, and I'm like, well, it's not really cheating, right? It's just saving. If they had the ability, they would have allowed us to save back then. Look at The Legend of Zelda. And I did all the mental gymnastics required to justify it, and then like that happened recently. Like I want to say like 2016. I'm like, no, if I beat a game on NES and I use save states, that doesn't count. That just doesn't count. And so I went back and I finished a shit ton of games that I had previously believed I had beaten in my child mind, but now I know I've beaten them as an adult. Which brings me to what else I did last week is finally finish Ninja Gaiden. And that game's a fucking asshole. In fact, if I were ever going to get a tattoo, it would be fuck Ninja Gaiden. I actually had Dale do some henna on my arm. It currently says on my right arm, fuck Ninja Gaiden. And
I was weirdly enough watching a video explaining today why the Tecmo version that got canceled or something. There was some version of Ninja Gaiden after Ninja Gaiden had come out and become a huge like weird success. Not the original one on NES, because that one is like just which one is just like a beat 'em up?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Ninja Gaiden had like a weird, not really Ninja Gaiden-y like premiere in this like country, like when it came over.
There's the arcade version,
right?
There's
and it's
the
not
arcade
really...
Ninja Gaiden. That's not like that has like these weird bonus stages.
Yeah,
where,
yeah.
Like, it's
not
a
really
9
Ninja
motion,
Gaiden.
and you throw stars at things, and the red ninja.
Yeah. So then they brought like what really is Ninja Gaiden to us, and everybody lost their shit, right?
That game is a beast.
Yeah, and I was watching some some YouTube video explaining all of this, and also explaining why they canceled some weird version of that game because they were afraid after the first time when they fucked up the arcade one. They were afraid they were going to fuck it up again. It was crazy. But Ninja Gaiden's had this weird history of like having a fan base enough for people to really want to put them out there, but like not a big enough fan base to justify the amount of fervor around it, I feel like.
Let me tell you. Having finally finished the game's a fucking asshole. Now, like already, right now, if I jump into it, I can fly through the first 5 levels. It is level 6 that is the real go fuck yourself from Ninja Gaiden to you, because it is 6. It's 3 areas long, right? There's a 6-1, a 6-2, and a 6-3 before you get to the boss in 6-4. Now, if you get all the way through 6-1, 6-2, 6-3, and you get to the boss, right, and you're doing really, really well, but you die against that boss, up until this point in Ninja Gaiden, you go back to the beginning of 6-3. You go back to if you die against Bloody Mouth in 5-4, you go back to 5-3. If you die against the Terror Dogs at the end of 4-4, you go back to the beginning of 4-3. Level 6, no, you go back to 6-1. go through all that again.
Sorry.
Now, but here's the thing, though. If you're in like 6-3 and you're in the room before you get to the boss and you get a game over, you start in 6-3 again. So that's cool. But it's not just a game over, Seijin. It's if you die. If you get to the final boss and you have 10 lives and he beats you, you go back to 6-1 with your 9 lives. And you're like, why did you do this, Ninja Gaiden? So you're already pissed off at Ninja Gaiden, right? And then, against all odds, right, Phil Collins is there and he is singing. And you're just like, thanks, Phil, I needed this. You're calming me down. You beat that boss, right? The game does what it does whenever you beat any other boss. It empties out your Nimpo, which is your magic points. It gets rid of your sub-weapon, and it tallies your score based on the time remaining. So you think you're done with the game. And then there is a cutscene. And at the end of the cutscene, it is revealed that freeing your father, I guess spoilers for Ninja Gaiden, but what the fuck? It's from 1989, right?
Right.
You're done. We're done with this conversation. Freeing your father from the bondage that he was held in is what was needed to be done in order to awaken the Jakio, which is a demon, which is a human bonded with a demon.
Jesus.
So then you have to fight the Jakio, but you don't have any Nimpo. But that's okay, because you don't have your sub-weapon anymore. But you got your life is refilled. Even if you only had one hit left, it does give you your full life.
Oh, gee, how nice of them.
So you fight the Jakio, and guess what? If you lose against the Jakio, you're sent back to 6-1. You don't start at the Jakio again. What do you think this is? Mario?
Oh, God.
So you go back to 6-1, and you go through it all again, and you're standing outside of 6-4, and you're mentally preparing yourself for the fact that, like, not only do I have to beat that first boss again, I have to beat the secret second boss. All right, we do a little prayer. We tell Phil Collins to hit it. We sing it against all odds again. Not that song. That song is too jazzy. I mean, as much as I love Invisible Touch, too jazzy. It needs to be against the odds. There, you gotta be hearing that, and you're like, oh, I can do this. I got this. And you walk through the door. Turns out you start at the Jakio.
Oh,
and
God.
You're like, oh, that's nice. That's nice that you don't make me rebeat the boss, but you don't get the life refill, right? So you were probably counting on that life refill, right?
Oh, God.
But now, when you inevitably get killed by the Jakio again, and you get set back to 6-1, you're now prepared for it. So you play through the game, making sure that you have the weapon that will be most effective against him. You have life going into that room, right? And you get there, and you beat the Jakio. And it does the same thing that it did when you freed your father from bondage. It gets rid of all your Nimpo, it clears your sub-weapon, and it tallies your score based on the time. And then another cutscene, and your father's like, you need to destroy the demon statue before the black moon rises. And then, oh no, it's an eclipse. That must be the black moon. Fucking demon shows up. And you now have to fight the demon, again, without the benefit of a sub-weapon or any Nimpo. But, again, it refills your health. So you're like, that was kind of kind, right? But, here's the other thing, right? That you are now in 6-5. You are no longer in 6-4, which is the place that you fight the masked devil and the Jakio. So, like, oh, maybe the game's finally going to, like, take a little bit of pity on me. And if I die in 6-5, I'll stay in 6-5, or at least go back to the beginning of 6-3, right? Because they took the time to program that this is another act of level 6. Nope.
Right.
So when you inevitably die to the demon, because... Let me tell you something about the demon. He's got the same 20 hits that he needs to take as any other boss, but you have to destroy his head first before you can actually do any damage to him. And that takes 9 hits.
Jesus.
And, like, you have to hit a specific pixel, otherwise you're not doing any damage to him. So you do it, and you die. And you go back to 6-1, and you're like, motherfucking Ninja Gaiden, I want you to end. Because at this point, you have become a master.
So you're saying that it breeds this fervor through hatred, through like this gauntlet that it creates.
Dude,
and the idea that people that get to the end of it are like, yes, this game, I beat this game. This game will be remembered.
By the time you're doing like 6-1 for the 7th or 8th time, you're like, I got this now. Like, really, this is just like a minor inconvenience to get back to the boss where, like, one wrong move, I'm back here. Yeah. Like, so it's at the same time as being, like, one of the most annoying experiences ever. It's really cool game design.
It's really badass
because, like, the way
design.
It teaches you.
Nobody
and,
makes
like,
games like that.
Like, we wouldn't stand for that anymore. At all.
Oh God!
People would be.
It's funny that you say that.
Oh well, we'll get back to it. So anyway, I eventually get back to the demon, and again, you don't have to fight Jakio again, right? So like that's kindness. That's like this weird amount of kindness. Like honestly, it's like being in a domestic abuse relationship playing Ninja Gaiden because you're just
God.
like, I should leave. I should just leave. I should just leave. I should just leave. He's just gonna hurt me again. and
Oh God.
then you get through 6-3, and you walk through that door, and it's like, oh, you've changed. You're not
God.
making me refight these terrible bosses. I'll give you another chance, honey.
For shame.
Right, dude. It is like it's like weird, dude. I can't play games after it. Like if I'm playing Ninja Gaiden, it's Ninja Gaiden or nothing. Cause like I tried to do a Zelda like just to like practice a little bit for my match, and I'm like, I can't do it. Like this is different. This is too different. Like this one is a kind friend to me. Like,
Oh God.
oh, if you have a fairy, I'll bring you back to life, buddy. You're fine. No, I'm going to take you back to your house. You're still going to save Zelda again. No, that don't happen.
No more Master Sword for you.
No, I just took the Master Sword from you. Right? You got to get it back. And by get it back, we mean clear all 3 pendant dungeons again.
Oh man.
Yeah, so
So
funny
it's
I should mention
funny that
that.
you mention abusive games and about how you enjoy them. Because
I do enjoy abusive games. Maybe that's what I was about to segue into. Luckily, you were there, my chaotic neutral buddy. Yes, so God of War is the first modern video game that I purchased in 2018. It's also probably the first modern video game that I've purchased since Ultra Moon. I think Pokemon Ultra Moon was the last modern game I bought in November.
oh shit. So you got some of that God of War. What do you got?
God
man?
of 4, right? That's what I've been calling it, right? Everybody call it God of 4? We're on the same
No.
page? Excellent. So here, let me tell you a little story about God of 4. When you start it up, it gives you hit new game, and it gives you an option. I want a story. This is the easy mode for those who want to experience the story of God of War. I want balance. This has some combat skill required, and you get to experience the story. I want an experience. This one has more of a focus on combat and will be a little bit more difficult. Be aware if you're here for the story. And then it has this 4th option. Those other ones are in a lovely, happy white font. And then we come to option number 4 that is in blood red text.
Angry red, blood red.
And it says, I want God of War. And it says, be warned, this requires godlike reflexes and incredible skill. If you begin on this difficulty, you will be unallowed to switch to an easier difficulty during the game. Proceed at your own risk. So I picked that one.
Man, I gotta tell you, when I started it up, I went right for
I want a story.
and only went for I want balance because a friend was sitting next to me and was just like, "Come on, you can do more than that." And I resent them a little bit for that, but because there are certain times when I do want.
I resent myself, Sejin.
So anyway, I went with I want balance, and so I played along until I met the stranger,
I'm pretty
and that
sure
took me
it's
all
Balder,
of 40 minutes.
Right? I'm pretty sure it's Balder.
Huh?
I'm pretty sure it's Balder of Norse mythology. I don't know how
think
far
it's
you
Thor.
got. No, it's not Thor. Did you fight him?
Yes.
All right, so he uses a bunch of ice magic. Yeah, he's probably the god of thunder.
Doesn't he
Spoilers
use a
for
bunch
God
of
of
ice
War.
magic? I used a bunch of ice magic. I thought he was throwing lightning at me.
No, he's throwing ice at you. He's turning his body into ice.
Oh, well then it's gonna be Balder.
because
I
there's
know. I thought I turned him into ice.
No,
Okay.
there's a time where you use the axe against him and he's ice and it just sticks in him and he punches you in the face. Maybe that only happens on I Want God of War difficulty though.
So I came up against the stranger, and that took me all of 40 minutes, maybe an hour because it was me getting used to the new control schemes and stuff. So Devin, what was your experience like?
So on I Want God of War, the very first encounter against Draugr, which are Norse zombies, I fought them for, I'm going to conservatively say 3 hours. Like the very first fight encounter of the game.
Encounter.
Because,
and one of the great things about God of War is that you're not given everything you need up front, are you, Devin?
No, you're not, Sejin. And that's actually the biggest issue that I have with the game is if they had told me some like gameplay elements, and it's not just telling you about gameplay elements. They are literally locked away
Oh
until
yeah,
you
no,
get
you
to a
cannot
certain
use them. Yeah,
fight.
you cannot use them until they teach you to use them. Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that fight was a monster. But I fucking struggled through it. And let me tell you something, Sejan. I felt fucking good after I did it.
Now,
Like,
I wonder if, and this would be utter bullshit if this is actually the case, but I wonder if there's a new game plus style in which you could play that God of War and have those abilities unlocked because you've already played through the game once.
if I find out that there is, I will break my controller. That will be the first time that I ever
Yeah,
break a controller.
as I said, that would actually be a little bullshit because then why would you ever play through it the first time?
Yeah, you would just do easy mode the first time because there's also no difficulty trophies, which was like a whole thing that I like checked beforehand to be like, oh, I'm not going to have to play on the hardest difficulty for like trophy reasons, so I might as well just play it on easy and experience the story. But then like staring down the barrel of the game, I'm like, no, but I want it to be difficult. I remember playing through God of War the first time, and that's the other thing that's been flying through my head, and it's what we'll end on. But playing through God of War the first time and coming to those moments where, like, I don't know how to beat this. Like, these are too many enemies for me. I need to figure out a strategy to get through this section.
Right.
And based on the stuff that you've told me, and I don't want you to think I'm casting any aspersions on you or anything at all, but like it seems like you are having a much easier time with these situations where it sort of feeds into the game for me that I can't beat a basic fucking zombie because Kratos is old and like he's lost something, like he's out of step with the man that he once was.
Yeah, I mean, there's maybe something to that for sure, and there is a lot of really great elements to the idea that you're not nearly as I don't feel as powerful as I did in God of War 3. I maybe feel as powerful as I did in 2. Definitely a level one, a God of War 1 level style of strength, right? Like I feel like I'm definitely godlike and powerful, but the fact that they're throwing like 5 guys at me and it's taking me a few minutes is not at all like what God of War used to be, right?
Exactly.
By God of War 3, 5 guys was nothing. 5 guys was one slash of whatever weapon you had.
5 guys was a goddamn hamburger. Let's talk about it.
Right. So like there is definitely something that the game itself is doing. So like if that's augmented in any way by the difficulty setting, that's awesome, right?
Well,
but I do feel like
the one thing I will point out is in the difficulty setting that I have picked, and we've already discussed this. We discussed this when we talked earlier about the game God of War, where like we're probably going to talk about it, is those Draugr. If you've done any amount of damage to them, even if you've only hit them once, they have the ability to like go Super Saiyan, and then they are a completely different fight, and you have to augment how you're doing it. And again, I don't know if you've ever seen them do that.
No,
I don't know
haven't
if
run
it
into that
happens
yet.
in that difficulty at all.
It will. It just will be down the line. Like it'll be way down the line when I have the weapons to handle it.
Yeah, where like now I just have the axe, and it has no like upgrades at all. So
Right.
it's like it's this interesting thing where it's like, all right, that happened. Fuck, I need to completely modify my strategy now. It's adding a level of difficulty to the game that I enjoy. That was prior reserved for like the challenge of the gods. Do you remember the challenge of the gods modes in the first 2 God of Wars? I don't think they had it in 3.
No, I think with 3 they did almost what they did in this is they just straight up put I want to play like badass.
Right, and
God
but that's the thing is that God of War 3, I was sitting there the first time that I loaded it up, and I had a buddy sitting there too, and I'm like, I honestly don't know what mode to play on. And he's like, you beat the other 2 100%. You should play it on hard mode.
Right.
And I'm like, you're not wrong, right? Like, it's not like it's my first friggin' rodeo.
Right.
And I did it. And, like, I did stuff in that game, like the labyrinth section. There's a trophy for doing that in your first try. And I did it in my first try. I didn't even know that was going to be a thing. And I'm like, oh, that was freaking cool. Like, that felt great. Like,
yeah, well, and we've talked about your history with difficulty settings before. The idea being that like you excel in those more intense atmospheres of those upper settings, and like and I am in awe of it. Don't get me wrong, but also like I have no desire to ever do that style of gaming, right? And like it's really interesting listening to you talk about the way that you play and the way that approached it, and like there's almost like a puzzle element to it now, which is awesome. Like that's a fantastic way to approach a game, but like completely absent from the way that I'm playing it so far. I know it'll be there eventually because I know that's an element of this game that I want to get to eventually, but right now I just wanted to make sure that I know how to like fucking swing my axe and solve a puzzle, right? Like I don't need to take out 8 guys hulking out on me right now. I just need to make sure that I can get to that trophy and I can get to that box on the other side that has a Gorgon eye in it or some shit. Like, bring it on.
Yeah, and I get that, and again, I don't fault anyone for playing games like that, and it's how modern gaming is. It's why this is the first modern game that I've bought. Because I saw God of War and I'm like, these are games that have always given me a challenge, so I will gladly buy that. Even though I've been kind of mez about modern video games and have hidden in my retro world, Ready Player One style. Which I had a whole story to tell about Ready Player One, and I'm disappointed we didn't get to it this week. But that's something to look forward to next week. Also, we were going to talk about the fact that 2 episodes ago we did the toy report.
Yes.
And I told true confessions of a former toy collector, and that had the opposite effect on one of our listeners.
Yeah. Hey,
Kevin
guy.
T out there, buddy.
What's
How
going
you
on,
doing,
man?
Kevin? Very happy to have you listening to the show, my man.
We need to talk.
But you went out and you bought Marvel Legends after the 30-minute PSA about not buying Marvel Legends because
And really, at the end, this isn't really about you. This is about us feeling really bad because we feel like we failed in their PSA. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, we feel bad. But you know what it does? It lends credence to my long-held belief that non-smoking PSAs are really advertising for cigarettes.
Well, they are owned by Big Tobacco.
Yeah,
that's not even
my point.
not even a conspiracy theory. They are straight up owned by fucking Big Tobacco, Truth, and all that shit. Look into that.
Yeah,
Wise
right?
up,
It's
kid.
all true. Get it. If you see a don't smoke PSA, just change the channel.
Like, I know we all laugh at jokes. Egan's on his big old "the machines are coming to get us" thing, but man, I'm telling you, them machines that create cigarettes, they also create them commercials. That's all I'm saying.
It's the same machine.
It's the same
The
machine.
byproduct of creating cigarettes is creating anti-cigarette PSAs.
Just saying, the machines they're running everything right now.
But
Both sides of the conversation.
Speaking of the machines and both sides of the conversation, it's also April, which means that it's time for another very special episode of the Say Report.
But Devin, it's so close to the end of April. Whatever shall we do?
Well, Sejan, there's a reason why it's close to the end of April, and not just because historically we've always released them on the last Thursday of the month. Our second very special episode was a comparison of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the DC Cinematic Universe. And we liked that. We had fun doing that. I had fun doing it. I had charts and graphs and things.
I'm still salty about Justice League shit, but keep going.
All right, dude, but we're not talking about Justice League. That didn't even enter into the equation during that conversation.
It's all DC. It's all DCU, DCEU, whatever the fuck they call themselves, dum-dums.
Dum-dums. But this Thursday, against the odds, again, Phil Collins, thanks, buddy, the entire world is getting Avengers Infinity War.
And early, I might add.
That's
Disney...
No, stop. Let me fucking talk.
All right.
Because it was going to release in England and Australia and everywhere around the world on April 27th. But instead of doing what they've done with every other movie, they decided a worldwide single day of release was what they wanted to do with this film.
No, see, this is why you're wrong.
How am I wrong?
What they decided that Sejan and Devon needed to talk about this on their April very special episode. And they said, if we move it up 1 week, and they said, hey, Robert Downey Jr., what do you think? And Robert Downey Jr., and this is documented on Twitter, said, go ahead, Disney. I love Sejan and Devon's show.
It is documented on Twitter, I guess. Downey is... Damn it, Sejan. We've never lied before.
Oh, never
We do
once.
not go to the moon because it is easy. We go because it is hard.
You there. Get off my dinghy.
Get off my dinghy. So what we're going to do for this one is we're going to talk about Infinity War. But because we don't want to just bite on the style of The Last Jedi, we're going to get together about an hour before we go out to see the movie to do like a little before to talk about Infinity War. So you'll get to hear that, and then we'll pause recording. We'll go out, we'll see Infinity War, and then we'll be back at our computer and microphones ready to go to talk about our feelings after actually watching it. So it'll be cool, right? Like if we had done that for Last Jedi, I would have been very excited, and then you would have seen how crestfallen I truly became.
Well, don't do that. Don't put that evil on this one now.
No, I don't
this
think
is
that's going to
This is
happen.
gonna be good.
I think this
No,
one is
I
going
don't
to
think
be
it
good.
could happen. Yeah, I don't think it could possibly happen, to be entirely honest. But let's
you
do
never
this.
know, because that's the point of our very special episode coming in 3 days' time. Until then, if you'd like to yell at me about this episode, and I feel like I gave you plenty of fodder for it, I can be found at Devon D. Decker.
And you can find me at Siege versus the World.
That seems pretty good, right?
I'm just wondering what you would lie to me about, if you were to lie to me. Like, why did you tell me that you kissed Chris Angel, Devon?
I did kiss Chris Angel. He fucking mind freaked me. Will was there. Will, tell him it happened.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devon Decker and Stephen Selwick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.